Every morning, sunlight spilled through the tall glass windows of the mansion, touching marble floors that cost more than most homes. Yet in the largest bedroom upstairs, 12-year-old Adam lay stiff and twisted, his spine curving more each day like a young tree forced to grow in the wrong direction. The doctors came and went. Specialists flew in from different countries. Machines hummed, medicines changed, and worried whispers filled the halls. Nothing worked. Adam's father, billionaire Daniel Hart, stood helplessly at the foot of the bed each night, his expensive suit wrinkled, his confidence gone. He had conquered boardrooms and broken records, but he couldn't protect his own son. The world. Daniel Hart was untouchable. To Adam, he was a distant shadow who smelled of airports and deadlines. Adam rarely complained. He just stared at the ceiling, biting his lip whenever pain shot through his back. His mother had passed away years earlier, and silence had taken her place. The only constant presence was Mara, the maid. She brought warm soup, adjusted pillows, read softly from storybooks when the pain kept Adam awake. She wasn't educated, didn't wear a white coat, and never spoke unless spoken to. But she watched, and she remembered. Mara had raised 3 children of her own in a small village before life pushed her into service. She knew the language of quiet suffering. She noticed how Adam flinched not only when he moved, but when his father raised his voice on the phone. She noticed how his shoulders tightened whenever the doctors discussed him as if he weren't there. And most of all, she noticed that Adam's body curled inward most when he was alone. One evening, after another specialist declared the condition unexplainable, Daniel slammed his fist against the wall and left the room. Mara stayed behind. She wiped Adam's forehead and whispered, "Does it hurt more today?" Adam hesitated. Then tears slipped down his cheeks. "It hurts when I think," he said. That stopped her breath. Children didn't usually say things like that. She sat beside him and waited. "I don't want to be like this," Adam whispered. "I try to sit straight, but I feel heavy inside, like I'm shrinking." That night, Mara couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed Adam's words again and again. She remembered a boy from her village, bent and sickly, whom doctors failed to cure, until an elder woman realized the child was carrying guilt and fear too big for his heart. The body, she believed, sometimes cried when the soul was unheard. It sounded foolish to rich people, Mara knew, but she couldn't ignore the feeling growing in her chest. Something shocking wasn't in Adam's bones. It was in his silence. The next morning, Adam woke before dawn, curled tighter than ever, his breathing shallow. Doctors were called. Panic filled the house. Daniel stood frozen as monitors beeped. Then Mara did something she had never dared before. She stepped forward and said softly but firmly, "Sir, may I speak?" Every head turned. The room went quiet. A maid interrupting doctors in a billionaire's mansion was unthinkable. Daniel almost waved her away, but something in her eyes stopped him. "I think the child is carrying a burden no medicine can touch," she said. "Please let him speak, not as a patient, as a son." Anger flashed across Daniel's face, then confusion, then exhaustion. He nodded. The room cleared. For the first time in years, father and son were alone. Mara standing quietly by the door. Adam tried to sit up and cried out in pain. Daniel rushed to him, holding him gently, his voice breaking. "I'm here," he said. "I should have been here before." Adam sobbed then, deep and shaking. Words spilled out. The loneliness, the pressure to be perfect, the fear of disappointing a father the world admired but he barely knew. He confessed he blamed himself for his mother's death, believing that if he had been better, she wouldn't have gotten sick. He spoke of nights spent wishing he could disappear so his father wouldn't have to worry anymore. With every word, Daniel's heart shattered. He pulled Adam close, tears soaking into the hospital sheets. "None of that was your fault," he whispered. "None of it." Something changed after that day. Slowly, gently. The doctors couldn't explain it, but Adam's pain eased. Therapy continued, but now so did laughter. Daniel canceled meetings, sold a company, and stayed home. He listened. He learned. Adam began to sit a little straighter, not because he forced himself to, but because he felt lighter. Weeks passed, then months. The curve didn't vanish overnight, but it stopped growing. Hope returned to the mansion like sunlight after a long storm. One afternoon, Adam stood in the garden with Mara, practicing walking without support. He looked up at her and smiled. "You saw it before anyone else," he said. She shook her head gently. "I just listened," she replied. Daniel watched them from the window, a humbled man. That evening he thanked Mara, not with money, but with words that mattered. "You saved my son," he said. She answered quietly, "He saved himself. He just needed to be heard."